Joe Biden scores a primary election victory for the first time in over 30 years, which sends Tom Steyer and Mayor Pete packing. Biden then talked with Fox News about gaffes and memory lapses and ends the interview by forgetting host Chris Wallace's name. And can anybody stop Bernie Sanders on Super Tuesday? All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. There was a lot of politics over the weekend, and we're going to jump right into it. And we're going to start with the election on Saturday, which was the South Carolina primary. And this was a major, major test for Joe Biden. If you recall, in recent interviews, he's been talking about it. He's skipped preparations in some other states to get to South Carolina because that was supposed to be his firewall. And it's just amazing how things turn in politics. Biden was the front runner. He was the national leader. And then all of a sudden, Bernie Sanders keeps coming and coming, becomes the front runner, gets most votes in Iowa, wins the New Hampshire primary, wins in Nevada. On the flip side, Joe Biden comes in fourth in Iowa, then down to fifth in New Hampshire before returning to second in Nevada. So calling this his firewall was not an understatement at all. He invested so much in South Carolina. The question is, did it deliver? Is he still in there? Is he still going? Does he live to fight another day? Well, South Carolina delivered for Biden in a big, big way. Here's a report from NBC News. With 99% in, Biden had 48.6% and Sanders had 19.8%, a winning margin of about 150,000 votes. Tom Steyer, who ended his campaign after going all in on South Carolina and coming up short, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, and Amy Klobuchar were running further back. The win for Biden, along with at least 38 of the 54 delegates at stake, gives his campaign a much-needed shot in the arm ahead of Tuesday's primaries next week when 14 states vote. Sanders was set to collect at least 15 delegates in South Carolina. In the overall national delegate contest, Sanders has 60 and Biden has 53. So Biden was in Columbia, South Carolina to give his victory speech. He was obviously excited from the results to basically be brought back from the dead. And here's part of what he said.
All those who've been knocked down, counted out, left behind, this is your campaign. Just days ago, the press and the pundits had declared this candidacy dead. Now, thanks to all of you, the heart of the Democratic Party, we just won, and we've won big because of you.
So it's no wonder he's excited. He did win. He won in a big way. And one of the major factors in that election, one of the factors that helped bring down Mayor Pete Buttigieg, was Biden's support in the black community. And here's more from NBC News. Biden earned a major boost from Representative Jim Clyburn, the most powerful Democrat in South Carolina and the highest-ranking black member of Congress, who endorsed Biden Wednesday and was already slated to campaign for him in neighboring North Carolina and other upcoming states. Biden ended up winning 61% of black voters, while Sanders won just 16%, according to NBC News exit polls. Warren earned 5% of black voters, while Buttigieg got only 3%, and Klobuchar won 0%. So that was South Carolina. What's the fallout? That's what I want to talk about next, because there's major ramifications from Biden doing so well. Not only did it breathe life into his campaign, it ended campaigns for others who were trying to carry that moderate establishment mantle. Tom Steyer, Saturday night, he dropped out. But the big news came yesterday when Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he closed his doors. He ended his campaign, which was kind of a shock. You saw the writing on the wall. I just didn't think it would come before the Super Tuesday elections. And maybe he just wanted to save face because he didn't have the money going. And this shine that was on him from winning the Iowa caucuses just went down and down and down. He won Iowa. He finished second in New Hampshire. And then 2 elections later, Nevada, South Carolina, he's out. He's out of the race, and it's because he did not have broad-ranging support. He was not raising the money, and it was a matter of time before he fell out. But in South Bend last night, he gave a speech talking about unity and his desire to drop out to bring the party together, and here's part of what he said.
And today is a moment of truth. After a year of going everywhere, meeting everyone, defying every expectation, seeking every vote, the truth is that the path has narrowed to a close for our candidacy, if not for our cause. And another of those values is responsibility. And we have a responsibility to consider the effect of remaining in this race any further.
So just a point of politics, some politics 101. When a candidate says, that the longer they stay in, the more it could endanger the party and the more that it will prevent unity and things like that, that usually means they're out of money and they have no support. Otherwise, it would be them trying to stay in to unify around that candidate and not some other candidate. The thing is, he didn't have the support, he didn't have the money, and here's more from Mayor Pete.
So tonight, I am making the difficult decision to suspend my campaign for the presidency. I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we have a new Democratic president come January.
So Pete's out, and immediately President Trump took to Twitter and he posted this. He said, Pete Buttigieg is out. All of his Super Tuesday votes will go to sleepy Joe Biden. Great timing. This is the real beginning of the Dems taking Bernie out of play. No nomination again. So that's Trump kind of calling or trying to predict what's going to happen because the establishment Democrats do not want Bernie Sanders. But Bernie Sanders is got a lead in the delegates. He's massively leading in fundraising. But Joe Biden now has life, like we talked about with this election. So because of this confidence, he went ahead and went on Fox News yesterday to talk with host Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday. It's his first time on Fox News in over a decade. Chris Wallace asked him a number of topics, but then it eventually moved over to Biden's history of gaffes and memory lapses and things like that. And here is how Chris Wallace started that segment.
Mr. Vice President, I don't especially like asking you about this, but it is an issue in the campaign, and that has been your sometimes shaky performance on the campaign trail. Here's a story that you told at least 3 times about Nelson Mandela. Take a look.
I had the great honor of meeting him. I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robbins Island.
So personally, I just love lead-ins like that. It's like, I really hate to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you this. That's what he did. So then Chris Wallace goes and explains what really happened in South Africa.
You now say you weren't arrested and it didn't happen in Soweto. You were at the airport in Johannesburg and you were stopped from going through the door for blacks. I guess the question is, were you confused or were you just trying to embellish a story?
Ouch. Were you confused or just trying to embellish the story? So then Biden went on and he explained that no, he really wasn't arrested in the streets. He was temporarily detained at the airport, which is a big difference in the story. So then Chris Wallace went to a more recent example of a speech from Joe Biden. Check this out.
Let me ask you, though, here's something else you said this week. Take a look.
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. Give me a look, though, okay?
Running for the Senate? So Biden explained that one too. He explained why he said that. These aren't, memory lapses. They're not gaffes. He's not losing it. And then the interview closed this way, and it is absolutely priceless. Check this out.
And so I can hardly wait to debate him on stage. I want people to see me standing next to him and him standing next to me. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Thanks for your time. Please come back in less than 13 years, sir.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck.
Oh, wow. Look who's sleepy now. That was such a classic way to end it. Thanks, Chuck, to Chris Wallace. So he's obviously talking about Chuck Todd over at NBC News, but the timing of it couldn't be better. Just look at his face. And this is going to go on and on and on because every speech he gives, there's gaffes. There's things that will come back bite him in a general election. So whether it's Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden, Trump should feel pretty good about it. But I do want to end with going over some of the politics that are facing the Democrats and kind of a preview into Super Tuesday, tomorrow's elections, in which, like we said, 14 states are going to the polls. There's a lot that's going to be decided. So right now, with Tom Steyer out, with Mayor Pete Buttigieg out, you have these two factions on the Democrat side. You have the far left, Medicare for all, free tuition, college, no college debt, all of that. That's led by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And with each election, Warren fades and fades and fades, and Bernie solidifies himself. He's won all these elections except South Carolina. He's leading in delegates. He's the one on that side of things. Then you have the Democrat establishment, moderate type wing, where you had Tom Steyer, Pete Buttigieg, they're out. So now all you're left with is Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, and Amy Klobuchar, who's doing worse than Elizabeth Warren. So she's out. So it's basically Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden and Mike Bloomberg. Now, tomorrow's elections, that's the first time you're going to see Bloomberg on the ballot. You're going to see how much influence his money actually provides. He didn't do well in the debates. He did terrible in the first one, a little better, less than terrible in the second one. So now we'll get to see. But Bernie Sanders just announced for February, he announced yesterday that his February fundraising topped $46 million. Joe Biden can't compete with that. He doesn't have the organization Bernie does in these Super Tuesday states. So Bernie is already leading in delegates. With a big Super Tuesday, he can really start to steamroll. We'll see. He's leading in most polls. Biden is up by just a couple percentage points in North Carolina. Sanders is even leading Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts, which shows you how far her campaign has fallen. So we'll just have to see going forward what Super Tuesday will result in. We've got California, we've got Texas, we've got big states, lots of delegates out there, and we'll see how this leads to the convention. Will there super delegates, the Democrat super delegates, which are people chosen in the states that have no allegiance to a particular candidate, who can basically vote however they want from the first ballot onward, while these other delegates are tied to a candidate, at least for the first round? We'll see what kind of influence that comes into bear, or if Bernie Sanders can just wrap this up on his own. But if he does, watch out, because it is going to affect not only the presidential race, but all the down ballot races where we're trying to regain, as conservatives, as GOP, regain control of Congress. We have a real shot with Bernie Sanders leading the way, saying all these economic gains are no good. We should go to socialism. I don't think the American people are ready for that. I don't think they want it. Donald Trump knows that, and it should be one heck of a race. But we'll give all the details, all the analysis on Wednesday. But for now, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.